welcome to MLW Confusion. I'm your host, Rob Cameron, bringing you all that you may or may not need to know about Major League Wrestling and its television programming. This week, it is the biggest show of the year, at least in my mind anyway. It is Battle Riot, 40 men, 1 ring, only one opportunity at the World Heavyweight Championship. But first, the news. Now, it's been a pretty quiet news week, at least in terms of announcements outside of the ring. There's been a handful of really big things going on, storyline-wise, and as part of the Battle Riot event itself. But in terms of new announcements, it's been pretty light. First of which is the announcement of Fightland. MLW is coming back to Atlanta at center stage due to how quickly tickets sold out at the Battle Riot event itself. So September 14th. We are returning for Fightland. Of course, no matches have been announced quite yet for that. But, you know, that's like, what, 4 months away? 5 months away? Something like that. Math is hard. So plenty of time to do that. But they've given, like, basically the entire roster as, like, potential appearances on that. Though, if you want a card, we have announced that MLW Anniversary 24, celebrating 22 years of MLW. That will be June 22nd, and we have a full match card for that. They do note that our favorite fast food breakfast sandwich is going to be in the house. We got a bull rope match between the one called Manders and Mads Kruger. Selena De La Renta and Cesar Duran have the fallout of their big news that we'll cover later in the show. The Middleweight Championship should be main eventing as Mystico defends against Star Jr. We'll have sessions with Saint Laurent with special guest Paul Walter Hauser, Stingray himself popping on. We got a National Openweight Championship match between Bad Dude Tito taking on Jake Christ. Timothy Thatcher battles Davey Boy Smith for the Opera Cup in the first round anyway, and Akira battles Akira Kwan also in first round Opera Cup action. So that's like the real news that they didn't do a press release about is Opera Cups coming back. The yearly tradition is continuing in MLW. Yeah, kind of a banger of first round anyway, with Timothy Thatcher and Davey Boy Smith Jr. Also announced as a triple threat match between Miyu Yamashita, Jazzy Yang, the daughter of Jimmy Yang, and Danny Jordan. And then the debuting Adam Priest battles longtime vet Bobby Fish. So that will be the YouTube Be-In special on June 22nd. Well, I guess it's technically the second YouTube special, isn't it? Because we're doing 2 YouTubes this month. But like either way, it's a thing now. Because I guess Triller is done with. They're not going to do things on Triller. There's going to be like MLW Plus or MLW YouTube Plus, and there's going to be like regular MLW now. So just one more streaming service y'all have to get, I suppose. Maybe, possibly. Think about it. Look over the budget. Crunch the numbers. I don't know. Make sure I can get it. Go to my Patreon and subscribe so I can make sure I can afford MLW Plus. There. Said it out loud. Anyway, yeah, so cover the news. That's great. Battle Riot. I love Battle Riot. I don't know if I've said this enough on this podcast, but I love me Battle Royals. And the bigger they are, the clusterier are, like, the better, man. And Battle Riot, some of the biggest, clusteriest Battle Royals there, because there are 4 guys, there's only 1 ring, you could do pinfalls, you could do submissions, you could chuck the guy over the top rope to the arena floor. Like, all those things are, you know, legal and openly encouraged to eliminate your opponents. So yeah, it leads to a lot of crazy go-nuts action, and I am here for it. Of course, we have an undercard to go through first, so I suppose we should just hop right in. Let's talk about the undercard. Joe and Christian, Joe Dombrowski, Christian Cole, they attempt to welcome us to the show, but can't really hear anything. Like, it's all muffled. I can't quite hear it. Like, Joe is screaming loud enough you can almost tell what's going on, but Christian Cole is practically inaudible, which is sad because he is emoting like a mo at this point. However, we do get the announcement that Selena De La Renta is here. She's outside the building at this point. She's with Dave Marquez, and she is looking for revenge against Cesar Duran. Speaking of Cesar, he comes out to the ring and lets us know that tonight is for violence. The crowd starts a violence chant, which is awesome. Cesar is down for it. He loves some violence too. And tonight is for revelations. So that's kind of a interesting word to be using later. Spoiler alert. Big deal, man. However, we're going to bring some championships to Azteca Lucha as his Delmi Exo challenges Janai Kai for the Featherweight Championship. Delmi is the former champion, lost her belt in October against Janai Kai, who was the Halloween Phantom, sadly not Rick Rude. Joe, at this point, really hammers down the point that Janai Kai was a mole for Contra unit. She joined Contra last month officially, but evidently she is allegedly the person that's been letting Contra into the building, even though they have not provided any sort of evidence for that. Delmi, though, like, she's ready to go, and she is on the offense early. Some counters, some strikes, finishes things off with a fisherman's suplex, gets 2 count off of that. Kai counters an under, up, and over, and takes over for a bit with her standard use of judo throws and really vicious kicks. Delmi does try to fire up and gets knocked down for her efforts. She does mount a comeback and hits a cutter out of nowhere. For 2, Delmi Driver is countered into the Demon Clutch. Delmi, surprisingly though, powers out of it, uses those long legs to stand up. It actually hits the Delmi Driver, but at this point, Salina De La Renta makes her presence known, macing the Lucha Goons on stage. She gets up, gets to the ring, confronts Cesar. She goes to mace him, and he ducks, and Delmi gets maced in the process. She's blind, she's stumbling towards the corner, and Janai hits the demon kick to get the 3 count and retain the championship. Your winner, Janai Kai. After the match, Kidro Kwan kind of like hooks Delmi up in a modified camel clutch, and Janai taunts Delmi with the championship. Yeah, so like that was a decent little match. It could have gone a little bit faster, could have gone a little bit harder, but it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. The most glaring thing in there is that it's the part of the continuation of the Cesar Selena feud, and this is where I got confused overall. Just in general, because Selena comes barging out and goes for Cesar, misses Cesar, gets Delmi, which is fine. Delmi's part of Cesar's crew, so obviously Selena's not going to feel bad, especially since it led to Delmi losing the match and not getting the championship. But like, this would be fine with like any other opponent, but this opponent was Janai Kai, who was a member of Promociones Dorada. Like, she was kind of like unofficially, like after Rocky Romero's departure, it was kind of like the crown jewel of it, and now she's with Contra now, and doesn't seem like Selena cares, and I think that's kind of odd. So unless they're setting something up here in the future, like, I think that's a weird little storyline gaffe that is not being addressed. Like, yes, we can make the argument that Selena just hates Cesar more right now, but still, like, Promociones Dorada doesn't really have like a stable roster right now, and the one person who was like the cornerstone, a centerpiece, the most stable member again since Rocky Romero left, turned her back on you. Like, I would be kind of upset by that, but I'm just not as cool as Selena De La Renta. Following that, we have backstage Dave Marquez. He is with Stingray himself, Paul Walter Hauser. Hauser puts over center stage, talks about his love of WCW, when Mr. WCW, Ernest Miller, interrupts. They have a cool moment before Jimmy Yang comes in, and I don't know, he's all pissed off for some odd reason. Starts talking about Bruce Leroy. Violent J comes in as well. Hauser points out his Arachnaman outfit that seems like a cheap knockoff, but whatever, man. While all this like weird stuff is going on, someone makes off with the Arachnaman outfit, upsetting Hauser, who ducks out to go find said person. Following this, we get a highlight reel of the AJ Francis Alex Kane feud leading up to tonight. Bomaye, Bomaye, Bomaye. By that I mean ritual combat for the throne of Bomaye, or Bomaye. I guess it depends on which crowd of Bomayes you're running with right now. But anyway, this video package, and I apologize to MLW for some of my statements during the Urban Wrestling Network watch along. Not for the inflammatory comments, because I meant those. But I throughout the chat, we couldn't figure out what the point was of this match. That they didn't explain it to us outside of oh, it's ritual combat, derp derp derp. And actually, if you paid attention to this video package, which is on us for not having the sound up and basically just having a watch party instead of listening to everything. The hype video does note that the rules for ritual combat are no DQ, no countouts. The only way to win is to sit untouched upon the throne of Bomaye with your ancestors and the elders. So basically a 10 count in the chair. And we just didn't hear it because we were basically being neckbeards and talking about it. So apologies for that. Pretty much meant everything else I said during the stream though. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out, and you can hear our witty commentary over Battle Riot. So that is over at Urban Wrestle NW at the YouTubes. Anywho, so yeah. So we have this here hype vid. Teddy Long comes out. He is an elder of Bomaye, so that's kind of sweet. And hey, man, now we're getting legit. Mark Henry, of all people, shows up. Free agent Mark Henry. He is another one of the elders. They are taking their seats next to the throne of Bomaye as our competitors enter the ring. So we're going to have a match. We have a match. Ritual combat. AJ Francis, Alex Kane. Francis attacks Kane from behind. Kane, though, is a ball of fire, fighting back. Hits a big spear in the ring and then a tope suicida outside the ring. They fight around in the crowd for a bit before Kane gets powerbombed on the ring apron. By the way, that is the hardest part of the ring. Francis gets a chair. Francis then also makes his way up to the throne and hangs out there for a bit, but then Kane gets up, so he just charges back to the ring and takes Kane out. Kane gets body slammed on an upright chair. That looked like it hurts, before Francis gingerly heads back up to go to place his big old behind on the throne. Kane comes up to break the count, and that just incensed Francis. Starts choking Kane out on the stage before the elders tell him to back off. That's not how we do that, which I think that's rather interesting, that they're getting to show some sort of favoritism. Not as interesting as that Mr. Thomas and Faye Jackson are out there not doing much of anything. Yeah, they're doing the usual hype person stuff, but if my BFF was out in this here match, I would try to help him. That's the thing. There's no DQs, so why can't I swing a chair? Why can't I poke somebody in the eye to help my guy out? And it kind of makes me look stupid if I'm not helping out in any way, shape, or form. And I get it. Kane right now is a babyface. He's got to do this on his own. But I feel that's something they could have covered too. Of hey man, I know you've helped out in the past, but I need you to stay hands off here. You can come out, you can cheer, but no hands. But they couldn't do that, and so that was kind of annoying. And I know Kane's a good guy, but I felt that made Thomas look weak, just because Kane's up there getting his butt whipped with all sorts of weaponry and getting choked out on stage ultimately, and just kind of did nothing. Anyway, that rant aside, heading back to the ring, we got a door brought in, because this is an indie show. However, he who smelt it dealt it, as Kane chop blocks Flop Dalla, and he flops through said door. Inside the ring, we continue on with Kane taking the advantage of the Kane Maker, followed up by Fade to Black. Unfortunately, though, Dalla is too up and going to be put to sleep, and he just squashes Kane, flopping backwards. However, Kane hops up and hits a German suplex, but unfortunately, the immediate follow-up to that is Francis giving Kane a low blow and a big choke slam. Francis goes, sits on the throne. 9 count, though. Only 9. That was close, man. Heads back to the ring, gets a table. Looks like he's going to try to do like a big splash or something to Kane through the table, but Kane fights off the table and interrupts the climbing process of Francis. They battle back and forth before Flop Dalla takes like the biggest bump of his career, not counting that one flop on SmackDown. No joking. Like, this was kind of scary, but he got supleed off the top rope through the table that was like in the middle of the ring to begin with. But on top of that, like, he didn't hit it flush in the center. Like, he hit it off to the side and almost landed on the table legs, which like. That could do some severe damage because, I mean, yes, they're not sturdy, but actually that makes it almost worse that they're not sturdy because if they like fold in half, now it's a sharp object to, you know, pierce your colon or something. But luckily he missed. So, like, as much as I rag on Francis, I definitely don't want to see him injured. Not that quite horrible. Anyway, most of the time. But yeah, so like that was a crazy bump, and Kane uses this opportunity to crawl his way to the throne. Having a seat, about like 8, Francis finally like makes his way towards the throne, but can't get to the throne in time. And your winner and new leader of the Bumayes, Alex Kane. After the match, Mark Henry gets on the mic and talks about hustle, loyalty, and respect. I mean, not quite that. That's me paraphrasing, pretending I'm John Cena. But basically talks about how to be a leader, you have to go about things a certain way. If you're going to be a good leader, inspire, you know, the next generation of the people coming after you. And he puts over the fact that Kane is doing things the right way. And then Teddy Long, who'd been bored the entire night, throws in that we need to holla, holla, holla for Alex Kane. And as we kind of like move away from this image, we see Kane, Henry, Teddy Long, and then the rest of the Beaumayes like surrounding the throne with Kane in the center as we kind of like fade to black, no pun intended. And this image was like very powerful. Like, it was like it was like, and they got it online, they got it on the Twitter and whatnot, and like that is a photo of power, I thought. And plus having like we're not like, I don't think it's understated enough like how nifty it is for Mark Henry to be on the show, because like it was totally unannounced, and like you know, you can say what you want about him, but like he's a name, like he's a pretty big name in the realm of professional wrestling, and like the combination of the work he's done in wrestling and then like after his retirement doing PR work, you know, he's kind of a big deal for African American culture, at least like on the PR guys, and community outreach. So like this was like kind of a big understated coup for MLW. So I will give them all the props for that. However, we should take a break. Like, take a moment, let this sink in. Get yourself an energy drink. I'll be back. Un momento. If you're like me, sometimes you need a pick-me-up to get you through the day. I drink Ray's Energy for that pickup. Ray's comes in a bunch of different flavors, and more recently Italian Ice, which is great, by the way. And it contains no sugar, so there's no crash after you drink it. And really, like, best of all, if you go through me and go to wetrepsports.com, use my code CASS, you get 15% off your order. So, also, be like Cass, drink Ray's Energy. Alrighty, we are back. We have ourselves a Blood and Thunder promo. That is July 12th on MLW Plus, so party on for that. Dave Marquez is with Mr. St. Laurent and Filthy Tom Lawlor. Tom basically calls Kojima a filthy foreigner, and he's going to get the belt back, and he's going to do it for WTF. Following this, we have a Contra Mads Kruger promo. It's 5 years. Contra is now on the rise, and we are going to see the new Crusader defect from MLW. Following this, we get ready for our World Heavyweight Championship match. We got the tail of the tape, which I only bring up because you can't hear anything over the music. So there's another technical gaffe. Not the first, not the last for this evening. We go to our World Heavyweight Championship match. Tom Lawlor with Mr. St. Laurent challenges Satoshi Kojima with Okamura for the World Heavyweight Championship. MSL gets on the mic. The title is coming home to WTF. He calls Kojima fat because, the fat guy is calling someone else fat. That's hilarious. In the meanwhile, like, as we're going through the motions of the entrance, Mr. St. Laurent keeps giving things to Tom Lawlor, like, most notably a giant chain. And Okamura, like, forgetting the rules that snitches get stitches, totally rats out Filthy Tom and St. Laurent. The ref catches Tom with all the things he has in his pockets, which also include a roll of quarters, the giant chain St. Laurent gave him, and of course also a pair of brass knuckles. St. Laurent is kicked out of the ringside area under threat of permanent banishment, which I didn't know the referee had the power to do, but what do I know? Referees are biased and whatnot, so I'm just gonna let it happen. That being said, this upsets Tom, and he attacks just before the bell rings. However, Kojima battles back, and just he's ready. He's feeling it. He's bouncing his pecs. Unfortunately, bounces his pecs too long, and Tom Lawlor goes after Kojima's injured knee, locks in a figure 4 leg lock. Tom is on the ropes, like using that for leverage. Referee kicks him off that, and Kojima reverses the hold. However, Tom then gets to lock in a triangle choke. However, Kojima gets to the ropes off that one. We get machine gun chops in the corner by Kojima, but Tom isn't really having that. Big knockout punch followed up by an anaconda vice by Lawlor, but it's not enough at this point. Kojima fights out of it. DDT and Cozy Cutter gets 2. Following this, Tom Lawlor counters the lariat into a rear naked choke. However, he just lets it go and goes for the pin, which I thought was weird, but you know, I am not a UFC veteran, so maybe I don't know any better. Lawlor goes for a couple knees and a straight jacket hold, which Kojima powers out of, and it takes 2 lariats. It does 2 lariats to put Filthy Tom Lawlor down, and your winner, and still MLW World Heavyweight Champion Satoshi Kojima. I will also point out that after this match, like, there was a ring girl holding the tag team titles, and the referee just totally blew her off. Like he ignored her for a while, then he left the ring, which means he made eye contact with her, and then just left. Like, poor lady has to have been holding like at least 40 pounds of title belt there, and nothing. Like, nobody cared, and we kind of felt bad for her. Like, dude, manners. I don't know what's going on with that, but whatever, man. We got the big news coming now, though, because Cesar Duran is out. He is having a good time, except for, like, Selena cost him the Featherweight Championship, but Selena comes out to interrupt him. Bad dude Tito comes out and forces Cesar to his knees. Selena, like, makes some cracks about, you know, most men would beg to be in the position Cesar is, but this one's going to be free, ha ha ha, and asks Cesar if he has any last requests or last words, for example, and he kind of just laughs at her before starts singing a lullaby type song, which freaks Selena out. She's like, no, like, you don't get to sing this. That is my mother's song, and how do you even know this? And he's like, oh, Selena, there's so many things for you to learn, little brat. And like, he rolls footage on the big Tron, which is family photos of Selena and her mom, and surprise, bro, swerve, Cesar Duran. That's right, Cesar Duran is Selena De La Renta's Papi. You know who called this like 2 months ago? This guy. So, like, while you guys were just all like, dude's crazy, dude's just pretending to be Vince Russo and fantasy booking things, for 2 months I've been out here Chicken Littling it up, and you know what? Sometimes Chicken Little is right. You know what? The boy who cried wolf, there was a wolf there. He just spouted off a bunch of other stupid stuff in the meanwhile. And, you know, yeah, I spout off a bunch of stupid stuff, but you know what? Sometimes I see things coming a mile away. Sometimes the doors of perception are opened in my eyes, and I get things right. And when I do, y'all get mad at me. So, thank you. I'm right this time. Selena De La Renta is not happy with this revelation. Neither is Muffins Martinez, for that matter. But Cesar Duran is your Papi. But yeah, I guess, like, despite being right, like, I'm not sure where we go with this. Like, this, like, adds layers to the onion in terms of, like, where they go. Because he does note in his I'm Your Father speech that, like, basically all the opportunities Selena's gotten, she has gotten through his machinations. So it's kind of like curious to see whether we're going to have, like, the family unite down the line, or if it's going to be continue to be like almost like a big civil war between the two factions. Obviously, right now things are pretty rough, but will we get a super faction down the road? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But you know what? Don't have to worry about that. Never mind that. In fact, we have Battle Riot, and that's going to affect our immediate future. As I said at the top of the show, it is 40 men, only one winner. Everybody comes in one at a time. Every minute a new competitor comes in. You get eliminated by pinfall, submission, or being thrown over the top rope to the arena floor. Previous winners include Filthy Tom Lawlor, La Parka, Jacob Fatu, Alex Hammerstone, and Alex Kane. So, you know, the who's who of MLW has won this tournament. And if you go over to the MLW Confusion Patreon, you can actually check out a batch of stats from Battle Riot, noting like who has the most eliminations, who has the most pinfalls, who doesn't have any eliminations. Why is Kim Chi here? Is Lance Anawai going to show up this year? Because he's shown up in every Battle Riot so far. I don't know, but anyway, let's talk about this year's Battle Riot. Battle Riot 2024, Battle Riot number 6, if you will. Looks like our middleweight champion Mystico and Jimmy Yang are going to start. Jimmy Yang looks great, by the way. I'm not sure how he hasn't gotten another look from a major company and has just kind of like disappeared to a party bus the last 10 years. But he's looking good. Star Jr. comes out, and I'm going to kind of like auctioneer these kind of things just because these are 40 guys coming in and out, so it's just gonna mostly be like who's coming in, who's getting dumped, and maybe if there's like a special move in here I'll point it out. But Star Jr. is next out, followed up by Ruhito. Jesus Rodriguez makes his return, followed up by the tag team champion Okamura. Akira Kwan representing Contra. Jesus taps out to La Mystica. Mystico gets a submission. Akira is out, and he's like headbutting everybody, and he almost headbutted a ref, and that made me sad that he didn't. Tom Lawlor is out. Jimmy Lang is then pinned somewhere along the line. Like, he got misted, and we didn't see that on camera. And get used to that, because there's going to be plenty of big moments that we miss that just weren't on camera. Somewhere also along the lines, the cameraman kind of gets dumped, as does Ruhito. Josh Bishop's in. Bobby Fish is in. Mystico gets dumped out by Star Jr. Bad Dude Tito is. Okamura is eliminated. The camera misses Star Jr. being eliminated. I had to read my scribbles here. Yeah, so we miss an elimination in its entirety. Star Jr. is out. Adam Priest, making his debut for MLW, is in, followed up by Paul Walter Hauser. Stingray is in. He's ready to party. Lawlor is dumped out by Hauser. So like that's actually a pretty big deal. Slim J is in, making his debut for MLW. Kira Kwan and Akira eliminate each other. They fight up the ramp when I guess Mads Kruger's the next person out, and he choke slams Akira through a table off the stage. At least I think he does, because they film all the lead up to it, and then as soon as Akira gets goozled, the camera just cuts away and then cuts back and Akira's through a table. So don't know what's kind of going on there. And then like they keep dragging Akira fighting around, and Kruger just doesn't even come into the ring. So yeah. So I guess he's still in. Mr. Thomas is out next, or entering the match next, followed by the new Crusader for Contra unit, and that is, spoiler alert, shocker, the return of Minoru Suzuki. He is in, and he's going to go pretty near all the way as the new member of Contra. Adam Priest gets dumped. Josh Bishop taps out to Angry Murder Grandpa. Ryan Gosling is out and immediately tries to start a fight with Suzuki, and then is like, nope, gonna go hide. ECW legend and MLW original CW Anderson, still in the best shape of his life, is out. Stingray pins Slim J after some sort of like driver. I don't know. It's like almost like a head grab, inverted, like Russian leg sweep kind of thing. But I'm guessing we're guessing that's Stingray's finisher now. So yeah, I don't know, whatever's going on with that. American male Scotty Riggs is out clapping and gets chopped by Suzuki like immediately in the ring. And let's be realistic about it. Who on their bingo card had Minoru Suzuki chopping Scotty Riggs on your bingo card this year? Like, who had that on your bingo card in 2024? Man, sign of the apocalypse. I tell you what, man. Do. Jake Christ comes out and finds BRG under the ring. Bobby Fish is dumped out of the ring. Violent J is out next. Scotty Riggs is dumped out, kind of like off camera. He's clapping on his way to the ring. YouTube sensation Chris Danger's making his ML debut. Pins Violent J after a stunner. Ernest Miller dumps Mr. Thomas. That's crazy go nuts in and of itself. Manders is supposed to come out, but we don't notice it right away until he's like drug out onto the stage by Kruger. So Kruger's back. He's finally in the ring and spending most of his time brawling with Manders. Sammy Callahan is out next. The camera misses the elimination of Jake Christ. Hauser gets dumped by Callahan after taunting to the crowd too much. Get a low battery signal because this is a classy joint we're running here. As the Masked Assassin comes out. And like, that's not Jody Hamilton. There are no Masked Assassins left. At least not Gen 1 anyway. However, we do find out, thanks to Alex Kane, that it is Filthy Tom Lawlor. Tom Lawlor, once again under a mask, re-entering the battle Riot. But yeah, so he's back for a hot minute anyway. Kruger and Manders dump themselves out. Alex Kane eliminates Tom Lawlor, who is now out. They've been eliminated twice this match. Suzuki takes the assassin mask and puts it on Chris Danger for like no apparent reason. Matthew Justice is in and hits a Van Terminator on CW Anderson. Bro is out next. The Cat gets pinned. Van Terminator on BRG, and BRG gets pinned for his effort. Andrew the Giant Everett is out next. He's fun. Kane taps out Mr. Anderson. Wrong Anderson, brother. CW Anderson. CW Anderson's out. Kim Chi, the like stalwart member of MLW's roster and Battle Riot veteran Kim Chi, is out and is like promptly eliminated. Bad Dude Tito's dumped over the top rope. Timothy Thatcher's in, and he's squaring up with Suzuki, and just hook that up to my veins, man. That's the good stuff. They're just two ugly guys like throwing forearms, and it's beautiful. Dr. Cornwallis comes to the ring next. He gets tapped out pretty darn quick. Surprise entrance, Suge D, a former member of the Beaumaye entourage. I guess he still is, just not in MLW, because I guess there's no true Beaumaye fight club in MLW anymore. They're just a bunch of nameless scrubs and that aren't O'Shea Edwards and Jay Bougie. Anyway, Chris Danger hits a Panama Sunrise on Suge, but that's not enough to eliminate him. Ricochet Page is out, uses Danger as a weapon. That's always fun. The Iron Demon, Shane Mercer, making his MLW debut, and hits a moonsault power slam on Everett. Arachnaman is out. Not the real Arachnaman, because it's not even a good costume, and, Brad Armstrong's been dead for 15 years. However, that is eventually revealed to be Filthy Tom Lawlor, who doesn't even get to make it into the ring before being accosted by Stingray, Paul Walter Hauser, because, well, the Stingray, the Arachnaman costume is Hauser's costume. He pulls Lawlor to the stage and gives him a short arm clothesline. I guess Lawlor's eliminated again, so it makes 3 times now. I'm going to point out that Tom Lawlor has been eliminated more times than he's actively appeared per year. Like, he's made more, these aren't official appearances. Like, in terms of official appearances, this is, like, number 3. And he's been eliminated 5 times now. Twice as himself, once as La Parka, once as Arachnaman and once as the Assassin. But he never made it in the ring. So by my count, he should still be in the Battle Riot. Maybe even won the Battle Riot. I'll have to pay attention to how things go. Anywho, so yeah, so Lawlor's gone again. Ricochet and Page is dumped out. Davey Boy Smith Jr. is in, and I didn't notice this the first time. I had to catch it on the second watch, but like him and Suzuki are still tight. And if you look carefully, like after a bout of offense, Davey Boy and Suzuki fist stab each other. So I don't know if that's just a regular acknowledgement of their history, because they were both members of Suzuki Gun, or if this is something that could lead to something else further, because Kruger does reference like more defections coming from MLW and that he's rotting MLW from within. So this is something we're going to keep an eye out. So mark this podcast down too, because I might actually be right on this one as well. I don't know. I'm not going to put betting odds on it, but I was right about I'm Your Papi. Anyway, so yeah, got the dab with Suzuki. Mercer is dumped. Matthew Justice gets dumped. Alex Kane gets dumped. Sad face. And this is where all hope is lost. Abandon hope, all ye who enter here. Because like for me, like this is where bad outcome happens. Kane was like the last like guy that may have had a chance at winning that isn't a fast food breakfast sandwich, and he got dumped. So this is where I get pouty, because I didn't get my way, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so Kane is eliminated. Shortly after this, Suzuki goes as well. Bro goes to pull David Boy Smith Jr. and Sami Callihan over the ropes. Timothy Thatcher, who got punched over the top rope earlier, hasn't come back into the ring yet. He's just hanging out on the ring apron, and goes to pull Davey Boy Smith out like an idiot instead of like focusing like on everybody. Just goes after Davey Boy. So he falls in the process of that. So Timothy Thatcher and Davey Boy Smith Jr. are out, leaving Callahan and our breakfast sandwich. And of course, because there is no God, our fast food breakfast sandwich pulls Callahan over the rest of the way to the arena floor, becoming your victor, your winner, a fast food breakfast sandwich. And yeah, so we talk about like MLW talks about finishing the story with McGriddle, and whatnot. And I know he is the most over member of the MLW roster at this time. I know he has history within the promotion. He was part of the original relaunch back in 2018. However, I do want to stress at this point that the man has a checkered background that he has suffered next to no consequences for. And yes, like most of them are just allegations, but like they're still not a good look for your company to be putting someone with those kinds of allegations front and center. And currently, this fast food breakfast sandwich is our number one contender to the World Heavyweight Championship. And like that doesn't mean he's going to win it. He's going to win it. Let's be realistic. They wouldn't be talking about this if he wasn't going to win the title sooner than later. But once again, I think it is a terrible look for your company. And I guess we'll have to jump that hurdle when we get to it. But until then, Bro is your Battle Riot winner. So yeah, there goes our Battle Riot. Like, it's been a pretty mixed bag online. Like, as a whole, like, in-ring wise, I did enjoy it. There was a lot of stuff to not enjoy, and most of that was the production gaffes, which really surprised me. Especially during Battle Riot, like it was really bad because they would just flat out like, how do you miss eliminations? Though I don't think anything was quite as egregious as missing that choke slam through the table. Like you followed it up to the point where you put his hand around Akira's throat. Now you're gonna cut away. Well, they did. But if you get past some of these gaffes and you choose to like do what I do and put your fingers in your ears and close your eyes about our fast food breakfast sandwich, it wasn't a bad show. I mean, we can nitpick and we can pull some things, but like it wasn't horrible. But yeah, the production stuff really cut it down a bit. for my liking. But, live and learn. At least it was free on YouTube, so it's one less thing we have to complain about. But, tell me about it. Let me know. Hit me up in the comments section. Hit me up on social media. I'm not necessarily the be-all, end-all of professional wrestling, Lord knows, because my opinions are garbage sometimes, or at least garbage compared to everybody else's. Or mine's better than everybody else's, and everyone else sucks on certain things. But, whatever. Let me know. Tell me which ones I suck at. Tell me which ones I'm awesome at. So hit me up on the social media. Stay tuned for the plugs and the best ways to support this podcast, and, where to go on said social media if you've made it this far. In the meanwhile, thank you all for listening, and I'll catch you all next time. MLW Confusion is a weekly podcast that is written and performed by Rob Kammer and is hosted by Spotify for podcasters. MLW Confusion is part of the Urban Wrestling Network, and you can check them out on the Underground Rundown on YouTube at Urban Wrestling NW. Background music for this section is Ruined My Day, performed by Alan Schroeder. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to support, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends, family, and enemies. Leaving a review is also helpful, as word-of-mouth advertisement is very important for small podcasts. My social media links can be found in the descriptor, but the Twitter and Instagram are at the Nova of Cass, that is TheNovaofCass, and Facebook is at MLW Confusion, all one word. If you'd like to support monetarily and help upgrade my equipment, and etc., please check out the tip jar at ko-fi.com/Casanova, or if you prefer some more bang for your buck, go to patreon.com/Casanova, that is CASSONOVA, whereas for as little as $2, backers get access to the podcast early and without those pesky ads, plus other exclusive content. So join the crew that is headed up by Keith Wynn, Alan Schroeder, The False Prophet, Alexander McCarthy, and Left Tendo, and check it out. You can also find t-shirts, coffee mugs, and other merch at the Confusion Podcast store on Teespring. Links will be below. For business inquiries such as ads and sponsorships, please email at rzkamer, that is Kamerer, at comcast.net. Thank you for listening.